Good morning, everybody. And as we used to say in the pheasant farm, if you wait for the wind to stop blowing, you'll never get anything done. Apologize for the noise. There's not going to be any better time this week to accomplish what I need to get accomplished regarding further experimentation with homemade black powder. I want to thank everybody for the comments that you've been leaving underneath this channel. But this particular video is being done due to the comment left by Strutting Eagle. Thank you. Although I do know and recognize that silver maple is the softer of the maples, but I did not know that it was considered to be like a cottonwood. Where I live here in New Mexico, I have plenty of cottonwood available to me. So as I speak, I am charring the cottonwood, the same process as before. And when I get to that particular point to where I can actually weigh the cottonwood, the 15 grams, I will show on the bench once again through the clear glass jars what the difference in density would be between willow and cottonwood. So the process is going to be the same. It's going to take me a couple of days to get everything pulverized and get the black powder in the tumbler and made, and we'll do the same type of tests as before. So once again, thank you, Strutting Eagle, and I hope you were in that name in a very good way. And I hope that that is a rendezvous name, because I know all the years that I've been rendezvousing, some people have earned some dumb names. Fortunately for me, I was not one of them. All the names that I've earned have been on the positive notes. But anyhow, and also to address one other quick comment, somebody had asked about pulverizing the char in a rock tumbler. Yeah, you most certainly can do that. I choose not to do that because my tumbler will only hold, a total weight of 3 pounds according to the manufacturer's recommendation. By the time you put the lead ball, the media, I use lead balls. Some people will use marbles. You could even use rocks. But by the time I get the weight of the lead ball and the chunks of coal, the char, I'm just not going to have much room. So for me, it's a lot easier to do it in that longer tube and just use the energy that comes out of the body instead of the energy that comes out of a light socket. The energy in my body's free, the energy in the light socket is not. So I hope that this will answer your question, and once again I will go ahead and interrupt and show you the volume or the density difference between the willow and the cottonwood. So stay tuned. Looking good. Well, I had to move it to the inside of my blacksmith shop. The wind's blowing so hard that it's actually blowing the flame out from underneath the can. But as before, it's doing exactly what it needs to be doing. Okay, it's been about an hour with this can cooling. I'm going to remove the lid and check and see how it turned out. Yep, just like I expected. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop pulverizing it, getting the coal that I need to measure out the 15 grams, and we'll do a comparison with the willow. Stay tuned. Well, I have it pulverized. Just a quick note on how quickly the cottonwood pulverized. It pulverized a lot faster than the maple did. Being a lighter wood, not as dense, it was just easier to pulverize it. This is what I have at this point with 15 grams of cottonwood versus 15 grams of willow. Let me zoom in on this. So you can see that there is still a difference in the density. I don't recall right off the top of my head. I've already discarded all of that maple charcoal because I'm just not going to use it. But you can see that there is a difference in the density between the willow, which is on the left, and the cottonwood, which is on the right. So what I'm going to do is obviously put the cottonwood into the ball mill with the proper amount of potassium nitrate and sulfur, and I will go to blending it. Some of you may be thinking availability of the products such as the potassium nitrate, sulfur, charcoal is pretty easy. You can actually go to your hardware store if you can get the specticide stump remover. This is potassium nitrate. Now, some people say it's about 94% pure. Some will say 96% pure. Some will say 100% pure. I'm not going to debate that or argue that. I can tell you from my experience, this is a good source, and I've had a lot of success using this specticide stump remover. When I purchased this particular bottle, it was about $6 for a pound. Recently I've seen it go down to $5 a pound. But what I did is I went on Amazon.com and I purchased from the same supplier, which is, let me see if I'm going to put the right here. You can see the name of the supplier and the telephone number. Bought this 2 pounds, and I bought 5 pounds of potassium nitrate, and this same supplier shipped both of them in the same package. So for me, this was cost effective. In fact, I will probably die before I end up using all of this. But again, that's another source for the potassium nitrate and the sulfur, and these people sell it as 100% a pure product. I think, if I remember correctly, I paid like about $40 for this, which included the shipping. So anyhow, it's just another source of getting the components if you're going to be making your own black powder. So I guess at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get the 3 components blending, tumbling. I'm going to let them tumble for about maybe 14 hours. It's still only about 10:30 here in the morning. So I'm going to let it tumble the rest of the day until dark. And I'll shut the mill off, restart it in the morning, let it tumble till about noontime. And then I'll go through the process of pucking it and screening it. And this time what I'm going to do is I'll save a little bit of what I would consider the 4F just to do a burn test with the 4F, but I'll take whatever's left and I'll put it back in the mill and mix it back, not mix it back up, but tumble it so that I can screen it again to get as much 3F that I would like to get out of this. So I guess we'll see you at that point of what's going to be the burn test. Okay, I wanted to interrupt here. This has been tumbling for 17 hours. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I take the lid off the tumbler, I want to see visually if there's any difference between myself tumbling for 10 hours or 17 hours to how compacted the three components are inside this container. So stay tuned. So yes, there is a noticeable difference. This has been milling for 17 hours, and as you can tell, all of the round ball is on top of the powder. Well, as you can tell, it's like a talcum powder, so I'm going to add the water and make it into a puck, screen it out, dry it, and then we'll do our burn tests. Okay, I can tell by the thickness of this particular puck compared to the puck of the maple, I'm going to yield quite a bit more 3F black powder. Now, like I said, I'm going to try to recover most of the 4F, put it back in the ball mill so I can get as much 3F as possible. But that having been stated, I will actually save some of the 4F behind so that I can try it in my flintlock so we can just kind of see what the burn rate is at that point. Stay tuned. Well, this is what I yielded out of that batch of black powder that I used Cottonwood as the charcoal. This is what I got for 3F, and then this is what I had for 4F. Now I easily could take the 4F, put it in the ball mill for a half hour, 45 minutes, powder it, put more water to it, go through the process and get some more 3F out of it. But before I go through all of that, I want to kind of do some burn rates, kind of check and see if the burn rate is any faster or any slower, or just see what happens. So let me get repositioned over into my forging shop and we'll do some burn tests. Well, once again, I have to state, if you wait till the wind stops blowing here in New Mexico, you'll never get anything finished. I'd like to talk a little bit about testing our black powder for burn rates, how fast it burns, things like that. I'm of the opinion when somebody takes a propane torch to test the burn rate, I don't think we're doing it any justice, just simply because the factory black powder has a coating of graphite on it, and the homemade black powder does not. So I'm going to do a few tests here. This is GoX 3F with a torch. It'll go up pretty fast. See, my question is this: with the blowtorch sitting on top of that pile of gunpowder, it's going to go off quick. So let me get set up. Next I'm going to test my homemade 3F 20 grains of willow. Just a quick thought, that looks like they burn about the same rate. Next, I'm going to do my homemade juniper as the charcoal, but I only tumble that for 10 hours. Pretty quick, but once again, the flame is on top of the pile. Are we actually testing burn rates properly? Now I'm going to try the black powder I just made with the Cottonwood. Once again, I would say that's pretty fast. But bear in mind, we're not comparing apples to apples when it comes to factory black powder, because none of the homemade black powder is coated with graphite. Now I'm going to show you what I've done to do, in my opinion, what is a better way to test the burn rate. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken a block of wood and I've cut a channel in it. It's about 3 3/4 inches long. I'm going to use 20 grains of black powder to fill the channel, and I think that that's a much better way to test the burn rate. Unfortunately, the camera that I have is not a high-speed camera, so we really can't see how many milliseconds it's taken to burn 20 grains in a 3 3/4 inch channel. So let's repeat the same experiment, and I'll let you know which powder I'm using as it's burning in the channel, or after it has burned in the channel. Okay, this is 20 grains of 3F GoX. Like I said, without a high-speed camera, we really can't see what the burn rate or the speed of the burn rate is. So let me get reset up, and next we will try the homemade willow. That was 3F with homemade willow as the charcoal. Next we will try the juniper. Once again, homemade black powder with juniper as the charcoal, but this was only milled for 10 hours. A little slow. Okay, now this is the black powder with cottonwood as the charcoal. Seemed to be pretty quick. I actually have one more test to do. Since I saved some of the 4F, I'm going to run 20 grains of 4F in that channel and see what we get. Okay, here we go with the homemade black powder. Charcoal is Cottonwood 4F. I would say that's slow. So I guess in conclusion, when it comes to making homemade black powder, it would appear that 16, 17, 18 hours of milling would be the best. At the same time, we also have to recognize that our homemade black powder is not coated with graphite, so it is going to react much different than the factory black powder. So I would love to see if anybody can come up with a way to coat our homemade black powder with the graphite, just to do, once again, a comparison. So friends, thanks for watching, and I hope that somebody can glean something usable in this series of videos about making your own homemade black powder. Bye.